November 6, 1912. Mrs. William A. Johnson. First authentic returns from suffrage vote in Kansas victorious. The National welcomes the 7th star. Anna H. Shaw.
The year 1912 was a banner year for Kansas women. They claimed the right to vote after a decades-long fight. Most of the women in the battle were not professional lobbyists or politicians. The change they desired was radical, but their daily lives were not. Women maintained households and held jobs while campaigning for a right they believed was theirs as American citizens. They were everyday revolutionaries, and Martha Farnsworth was one of these women. Martha was born in 1867 in Mount Pleasant, Iowa. She moved to Topeka, Kansas in 1887 and came of age at a time when women's voices were often silenced. Martha knew her voice mattered as much as any man's. Her voice can still be heard through the daily diary entries she made for nearly 40 years. She recorded everything, from mundane household chores to social activities and her many suffrage activities. As a teenager, the diaries are filled with typical school activities and flirting with boys. After 3 proposals and 2 engagements, she met postal worker Johnny Shaw.
Saturday, January 28, 1888. Downtown in the afternoon. Just awfully muddy. Got to walk part of the way with my little mail carrier. He is just a little dandy. Pretty brown eyes and awfully cute.
Their relationship was strained at best, with Martha writing about his many outbursts, angry scenes, and drunken nights. She writes of Johnny's jealousy and possessiveness, but she agreed to marry him on October 4th, 1889.
My wedding day, and I pray God to bless it. I have felt so sad all day, and it has been hard to keep back the tears. My eyes have been full, most all day, but not one dropped. I'm determined not to cry on my wedding day. I love Johnny, and I know he does me.
Wanting to start a family and suffering many miscarriages, baby Mabel was born on January 24th, 1892.
Today, at 12 minutes past 1 o'clock p.m., my precious wee girlie came to her mother, the dearest, sweetest little treasure ever a mother had.
But happiness was short-lived. The baby was not healthy. Mabel died 6 months later.
And with a broken heart, I bowed to God's will and said, O Lord, I give her back to thee. I cannot see her suffer longer.
Johnny was in poor health throughout their marriage and died of consumption shortly after their 4th anniversary.
Who but God and those who have gone through the same experience can know the strange conflicting emotions in my heart. Tonight I am utterly alone and miserable. Tonight I am a widow. I am free.
Although concerned that a second marriage would end up like her first, Martha would marry again, and to another postal worker. Johnny had introduced the man to Martha years earlier.
Johnny introduced me to Fred Farnsworth, a nice, quiet boy, a good friend of Johnny's.
They were married on May 2nd, 1894. It fortunately resulted in a very happy and long marriage. Martha settled into her new marriage and began writing about how she spent her time. Her diary is filled with entries about housekeeping, but also about working on art, attending the First Christian Church, participating in community club meetings, and lobbying for women's rights. At church, Martha began teaching Sunday school. The class of 10-year-old boys became her surrogate children. They called themselves the Place Square Gang. She taught the same group of 30 boys for 16 years, ending only with her death. She and Fred regularly took them on camping trips.
Wednesday, June 5th. At Camp Rogers, Maple Hill, and enjoying it immensely. Gerald Kenyon came up at noon to help the boys play ball with a Maple Hill team. My boys beat them 7-0.
In the early 1900s, Martha also became an active member of the Good Government Club of Topeka. It was originally an auxiliary to the State Equal Suffrage Association, and it continued to work for women's rights.
Went over to Mrs. Swenson's after dinner, and from there to Mrs. J.V. Rowell's to a meeting of the Good Government Club. Mrs. Jones and myself were voted into the club together with Mrs. E. Hoke, the governor's wife, and several others. Had a splendid meeting.
Martha's diaries show activism mixed in with everyday life.
Walked to Mrs. Lee Monroe's to meet Good Government Club, about 75 present, and all went in a body to the State House to call on Governor Hoke and present him a petition, asking him to endorse the women's suffrage bill to be brought before the special session of the legislature, which soon convenes. Another warm day, spent whole morning getting my beans ready to can, and this afternoon went to Good Government Club at YWCA. Had a most interesting meeting and a busy one.
Martha enjoyed drawing and painting in her spare time. The Good Government Club relied on her artistic ability to help illustrate some of their club handouts and newspaper articles written about suffrage activities.
Wednesday, July 21st. Too busy to see straight. Mrs. Lila Day Monroe called this evening on suffragist business, and I'm making cartoons for it.
The Good Government Club released the GG Catechism. GG is short for Good Government. It included the resolution passed by the Kansas legislature, which would appear on the November 5th ballot. The months leading up to the November election were especially busy for Martha.
Wednesday, October 9th, 1912. A mighty busy day, but it is nice to be home and busy. No one loves house more than I do. Yet, we suffragists have got to work if we ever get the ballot.
The Good Government Club handed out suffrage material wherever they went. "Sister, are you totin' fair?" addressed what action women should take to ensure men would vote for the amendment in the November 5th, 1912 election. Martha's listed among the officers of the Good Government Club.
Friday, October 18th, 1912. A grand day, and I so wanted to be outdoors. But it was my day to stay in the Good Government Club booth at the cooking school held this week in the auditorium. So I was there all afternoon and until 11 o'clock at night. Reckwa Renner, Ruby Long, and Lena Anderson in costume helped me distribute our suffrage literature and sell buttons, etc. Fred came down after supper and stayed with me.
Martha often met national suffrage leaders like Dr. Anna Howard Shaw, president of the National American Women's Suffrage Association. Shaw visited Kansas many times during the decades-long fight for suffrage in Kansas.
Saturday, October 26, 1912. Fred went to work this morning again, and I was most awfully busy all day. This evening, met Good Government Club at Mills and went in the suffragist parade at 7:45, riding in the Clevenger car. Governor Stubbs' car headed the parade. After our parade on the avenue, we went to the auditorium and sat on the platform during the address of Reverend Anna Shaw on suffrage. And she made a fine address. Big crowd.
After many years of hard work by thousands of women and men, the big day finally arrived. Martha hurried to the polls to hand out suffrage literature. It was legal at this time to do so at the polling places.
Tuesday, November 5th, 1912. Up early, got breakfast, but only took time to eat a wee bite and hurried away to the polls, for it's election day and we women are to make a last stand for our enfranchisement. I was at the polling place, before daylight and handing out cards. I did not get relief until 12 o'clock. Then I came home and got dinner, and not having to go back, laid down on the couch and rested.
The following day, Martha left no doubt about her happiness that the amendment had passed.
This is the day after, and so bright and sunny, a glorious day, and there is sunshine in my heart, for while I went to bed last night a slave, I awoke this morning a free woman. Suffrage won in Kansas by 50,000 majority, and the papers say it won in Michigan, Oregon, and Arizona, only Wisconsin losing.
It would take another 8 years before the passage of the 19th Amendment in 1920, which granted women voting rights in all 50 states. At age 57, Martha died of malignant hepatitis. Her beloved Sunday school boys were the pallbearers at her funeral. Martha's life serves as an excellent reminder that civic involvement is often tucked between daily activities, and despite adversity, one person can make a difference.